competed in slopestyle and half pipe, and I got to the point where one year I was ranked number 1 overall in the world, and then I was ranked number 2 overall in the world the second year, and I was having a great time, and I went up to Whistler, Canada for World Tour Finals on April 11th, 2015. Now I finished the first run ranked 4th. And now, does anyone want to be 4th? Or come on, do you want to get on the podium or what? Yeah, wanting to get on the podium. So I upgraded my flat 3 to a double flat 7 in my run. Now, if I had landed that trick, the chances were good that I would have done really well, and I would have become the first girl to ever do an off-axis double in a slopestyle run. But I didn't land it so well. I luckily landed on my feet first and then whiplashed my head down, and I bit my tongue, so I was bleeding profusely, and I started convulsing on the snow. My brain was bleeding in 8 spots, and I slipped into a coma. I went to Vancouver hospital for 8 days, and when I arrived, they were pretty scared because my brain was bleeding in 8 spots, and they called my family to come say goodbye. But I lived. My family came, but I survived. And I left the coma after 8 days. On the 8th day, I actually was in a Learjet. Does anyone here know what a Learjet is? Yes, what is it? It is. It's a really nice private jet. I luckily was on Global Rescue. Does anyone here know what Global Rescue is? Nope. Well, I didn't really pay attention to it, but if you do any event representing the US, like World Championships or something, or you're on the US team, you have to sign up for Global Rescue. And I would recommend that everyone here signs up for Global Rescue. I didn't really think that much of it at the time, because it's $150 per year. That's nothing. So I would just sign my name and not really pay attention to it. But if you have an injury or something happens, it covers all of your airfares. That means both of my helicopter trips from Whistler down to Vancouver were covered, and they got me a Learjet, completely covered, that they flew me from Vancouver to Salt Lake City. If I could remember it, I think it would be pretty darn cool that I got to fly in a Learjet. But unfortunately, I don't really remember it at all because I was in a coma. So yeah, that didn't really happen in my mind. But I went to I went to Salt Lake City, and I opened my eyes for the first time ever. And when you leave a coma, that means you've opened your eyes twice in 24 hours. And I basically just opened my eyes twice in 24 hours. But I opened them because I heard I was back in Salt Lake City and I was going home, and so I wanted to see what I was doing. So that helped me break the coma. And then I don't remember a month. I had my recovery process, and I was on the 5th floor at Intermountain Hospital in Murray, Salt Lake City, and I was on the 5th floor in the ICU, and then I moved up to the 11th floor, and I don't remember that either, and then I moved up to the 12th floor, PT, and I was doing PT, speech, and occupational therapy, OT. And when I moved up there, that's when my mind came back, and I began to remember this. Because before, when I was on the 11th floor, my memory was kind of back, but I couldn't remember day to day. And even when I moved up to the 12th floor, I couldn't remember at the beginning day to day. So, in fact, I thought it was kind of funny. When I could only remember one day to the next day, my family told me this story, but I have this friend who parties all the time. Her name is Chandra, and she rages, really rages. And so I was like, this must be what Chandra feels like. I must be drunk and high at the exact same time, because everyone keeps telling me, all the nurses say I'm so funny, but I don't remember what I did yesterday. So yeah, and then the nurses would ask me, how are you doing? And I would mind came back on the third day, this nurse was like, "How are you doing, Jamie?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing great. I've been sober for 3 days." Yeah, that's not really the situation. But it was pretty humorous. I made a lot of jokes during my recovery process, and I extremely lucked out because my mom lived in the hospital with me the entire time. And my sisters came to visit me every single day, and they treated me, I had to basically go through my childhood all over again. But they treated me as if I was the age that I was behaving. So they didn't treat me like I was a disabled 22-year-old. They treated me like at the beginning, before my mind came back, I was acting like I was like a 2 or 3-year-old. So they treated me like a 2 or 3-year-old. And then I was originally in the wheelchair because I hurt my right brainstem. That means my entire right side was paralyzed for a month. The very first thing I remember now is when stimulators were put on my right hand to get it to move for the very first time after my injury. Because when my mind was coming back, I wouldn't remember the entire rest of that day, but I remembered my hand moving because it meant a lot to me. And so as my mind was coming back, the big things I would remember. Kind of like if you think about it, when you are imagining your childhood, you remember certain things, but you don't remember day to day and like what you did the entire day and all that stuff, but you remember some big things in your childhood. So that was me. I went through my childhood all over again. And then I went through my teenage years and I went through my young adult years. I had to relearn how to do everything. Most people don't know this, but when you're in the hospital and you have a tube down your throat, you have to relearn how to swallow again. That means when I was in the hospital, I could only swallow liquids that had been enhanced. So they had been made thicker. That's all I could swallow when I was off the feeding tube, was liquids that had been made thicker. And then I was allowed to swallow water when I left the hospital. And then I started doing outpatient therapy 5 days a week in Sugar House, Utah. And it's actually right across the street from the Whole Foods, if you guys know where that Whole Foods is in Sugar House. And I knew where the Whole Foods was, but I had no idea there was a therapy right across. And then all of a sudden I was going there every single day. But when I was up at PT, a week after I had been going there, I was up at PT, and then I came down to my speech therapist, who was also like watching me drink and stuff like that, and she gave me a glass of water. And so I chugged the water because I was really thirsty. And then she said, "Wow," and she gave me another glass of water, and I drank that glass of water. And she said I could drink everything. And so she completely cleared me to drink after 1 week. And she said most people, it takes them 3 months to learn how to drink again. And most people that I talk to, they don't know that anyone who has had a TBI or has a tube down their throat has to relearn how to drink. They know that like I had to relearn how to walk. They know that I had to relearn how to talk. But I also had to relearn how to drink. I had to relearn how to do absolutely everything. And that's where the motivational part of my speaking comes in. Because when I had to relearn how to do everything, I set some limits and some goals and some ideas. I had these thoughts in my mind. Like, it's okay to have a long distance goal. You guys are all in school, so you have to be majoring in something. So you have to have a long distance goal in your mind. That's fine, but you have to focus on short-term goals. I couldn't see how far I had to go or make plans for the future, or I didn't even know anything. I didn't even know what I was going to do in the future. But I woke up every day with one goal, one achievable goal that I know I could do. And I accomplished that one single goal every single day. Because the thing is, if you set one goal you can accomplish, you're taking little tiny baby steps, but you're moving in the direction of your overall goal. So I set tons of goals for myself. And the other thing I made sure, and my family helped me make sure as well, was we never put a glass ceiling on my recovery process. We never decided how far I was going to go. We never decided what I was going to do with the rest of my life. we never put that glass ceiling on how far I could go, because that sets a limit. That's very distracting. But yeah, we didn't set a limit on how far I could go. So that's important to make sure you're not setting a limit on how far you can go either. Don't set those limits. And when people would ask me, we're all in the journey of life. I'm still in the journey of life. Luckily for me, I'm still here. And so I don't like to set any long distance goals. So like people always ask me, are you going to compete again? And I say, that's in the future. The doors are open because my neurologist completely cleared me, but I don't know if I'm going to compete again, and I don't think that's a decision I need to make right now. So I don't have an answer to that question, because when I decide if I'm going to or I'm not going to, it's going to be in the moment, it's not going to be in the future. And the other thing that mattered a lot in my recovery process was the fact of believing in myself. The thing is, when I first ended up in the coma, the doctor said if she works as hard as she possibly can for 2 years, she will reach semi-normality. She will never do sports again, she will never live independently, and she will never reach a normal life. Now, they must not really have known my life beforehand, because I never had a normal life beforehand, and I don't really think I've ever reached a normal life. So I'm not back to living a normal life, but I can do sports again, and my life is golden. But here's the thing. I believed when I was recovering that I was going to recover, and I was going to be all right. And I believed this. Important people in your life, doctors, businessmen, anyone important, people who are CEOs of the job you're applying for, anyone who's important in your life can say whatever they want. And they can make decisions about your jobs. But if you believe you are going to accomplish something, you're going to accomplish what you believe. And I don't say this in an arrogant manner, because if you're the kind of person who tells everyone else something and is like, oh, I'm so amazing and I'm awesome and so cool, like that is arrogance. And that doesn't mean, usually people who talk like that, they don't believe that they're actually going to achieve that deep inside. I'm talking about that deep inside feeling that you are going to accomplish what you set your mind to, and that you can do it. And even if no one else in the world believes you can do it, if you believe you can do it, that's the first and only person whose opinion about you actually matters. Everyone else's opinions are very important, and I'm lucky because I get along with my family really well, and they believe in me. But sometimes you can overbelieve or you can underbelieve, you can believe however you want to about someone. But you have to believe in yourself. You can't be waiting for a boyfriend to come in and sweep you off your feet and save you. You have to save yourself. You can't be waiting for your mom to finally realize what you've accomplished and that you're setting your goals and you've accomplished so much. You have to know you have accomplished, and you have to know these things deep in your soul. And so these little motivational quotes and these little things are what I believed in so strongly. And I performed it every single day. I set these goals for myself every single day, so I felt like I could accomplish things, which was great. And at the time in the hospital, they didn't even know if I was going to ski again. When I got cleared by my neurologist, I set these anti-goals. I call them anti-goals, limits for myself. So when I went back to skiing, I could go ski around the mountain, and then in February, I could hit baby jumps and do 180s, and then in March, I could hit medium baby jumps and do 360s. And when I could do it, I made sure that everything as I was relearning how to do it, I slid boxes with my right foot forward and my left foot forward. So my unnatural way got just as good as my natural way. And when I do my 360s, I do them in all 4 directions. But I had to set these limits for myself, because I don't know if I'm ever going to compete again, but the most important thing is to stay strong and healthy and stay having a blast doing what I love the most in the world. And apparently, according to Garrett, when I was conceived, so it's been my whole life has been around skiing. And I still get the opportunity to go out and ski. And that's beautiful for me. So if you have the opportunity to do something you love, grasp what opportunity is given to you. Even if I don't compete again. You know, that might be one door that's closed, but another door has opened. So stand up, look for the open doors, believe in yourself, set day-by-day goals, and you will accomplish what you are setting out to do. And we are all on the journey of life. We are all evolving. We are all changing every single day. And we don't know what we're going to do in the future. So that's okay, because we're going to accomplish our lives are all going to go in a very beautiful way, and we're going to accomplish a lot as long as we wake up every single day and have these goals in mind. So that's my story, and I'm sure some of you have some questions, so I would love to answer your questions. Yeah?
Are you raising